Our introduction to Ichiro Inuyashiki begins with a painful sense of invisibility. He's a 58-year-old office clerk and modest family man, yet he appears significantly older than his years, a worn-out and deeply tired old man. His life consists of automated work duties and complete emotional isolation at home. In an attempt to somehow please his family, he buys a new home, having saved up the necessary funds and avoided loans. But his efforts are met with a wall of indifference. His wife and children greet the housewarming without a hint of gratitude, treating him as a source of income they're ashamed of in front of their peers. The only creature who responds to him with warmth is an abandoned dog named Hanako, whom he adopts from a shelter. Soon, a sentence that sounds like a cruel twist of fate is added to the profound family crisis. Doctors diagnose Inuyashiki with terminal cancer. He has only 3 months to live. The shocked hero tries to break the terrible news to his family, but his quiet, passive voice is drowned out by the familiar indifference of his household, who simply refuse to listen. Realizing the depth of his loneliness and the meaninglessness of his life, Inuyashiki goes to the park late at night. The first manifestation of his new abilities occurs instinctively and unconsciously. Walking through the city, Inuyashiki witnesses a brutal scene. A group of teenagers brutally beat a homeless man for fun. Without thinking, the hero unconsciously activates his cybernetic powers. He doesn't maim the attackers or engage them in direct combat, but does something far more sophisticated and terrifying. His actions result in the identities of the bullies being broadcast on the news and spread across the internet, stripping them of their anonymity and exposing them to real consequences for their actions. In that moment, having used force to protect the weak, Inuyashiki, for the first time in many years, feels something long forgotten. "I feel alive," he says, and this phrase marks the turning point of his entire future. He embarks on the path of a hero, having only just discovered it. The climax occurs in an event that defies reality. Suddenly, the night sky above the park is illuminated by a bright light. An unidentified flying object descends upon Inuyashiki, as well as a young man named Hiro Shishigami who happens to be nearby. The collision literally erases their former bodies. However, alien technology, for some unknown reason, restores both of them, constructing them anew layer by layer. Outwardly, Ichiro remains the same elderly man, but internally, he is now a perfect combat android, retaining all his human emotions and memories. The act of restoration itself remains a mystery to him, and at first, he doesn't realize the extent of the change. It all begins with Hiro visiting his childhood friend, Naoyuki Ando. He hasn't shown up at school for several days, and it turns out the reason is simple and brutal. He's being systematically beaten by his classmates. Lying in bed, withdrawn and depressed, Ando doesn't even try to pretend everything is fine. Hiro, however, is surprisingly at ease with him, seemingly oblivious to the gravity of his situation. He sits down next to him and starts a conversation about the recent horrific murders in the city. Someone is shooting people, and the perpetrator hasn't yet been found. Hiro speaks of this with such frightening detachment that Ando nervously asks if he orchestrated all this. An awkward pause follows, followed by a tears in a cloud of feathers. Ando flinches. Hiro lowers his hand, which he had been holding like a gun, and his face is completely expressionless. The next display of power is even more surprising. Hiro takes his friend to a large electronics store. Passing a stand with dozens of TVs on, he concentrates for a moment, and the next second, all the screens begin broadcasting an explicit, obscene video in sync. Panic erupts in the sales area, the salespeople scramble to turn off the equipment, and Hiro, unfazed, steps outside. However, the turning point comes when he encounters a scene on a city street. Hiro steps out into the roadway and turns to face the flow of traffic. He raises his hand and releases an invisible beam, which slams into the car in front with monstrous force. In seconds, the street is transformed into a heap of twisted metal, shrouded in smoke and screams. Hiro stands amidst this chaos, expression blank, and Ando, recoiling, realizes that this is no longer his schoolmate. He asks, almost in a whisper, "You could kill me too, right?" Hiro doesn't answer, but the silence lasts too long to be comforting. That same evening, Hiro leaves his friend in a gloomy mood. He still feels nothing, no this armor. His choice falls on a complete stranger living in a randomly chosen house. Hiro simply walks inside. He encounters the mother first in the kitchen and shoots her without hesitation. Then he methodically dispatches the father, who was taking a bath with his young son at the time. The child, left alone among puddles of blood, struggles and screams in terror, but Hiro remains deaf to the sounds. When the high school-aged daughter finally returns home, she finds the intruder sitting in the middle of the carnage. In a desperate attempt to save himself, the girl strikes up a conversation with him about the only thing they have in common. She sees some manga volumes on the shelf and begins frantically talking about how she, too, loves One Piece. Hiro perks up momentarily, but his interest lasts only long enough to ask a quick question and then pull the trigger. Meanwhile, Inuyashiki is at home. He hears a strange noise in his head, which gradually coalesces and unharmed. A self-assured killer just a moment ago, Hiro experiences something he hasn't experienced since his transformation. Taking advantage of his confusion, he activates the previously invisible jet engines located in his back and, with a deafening roar, soars into the night sky. Along with this, Hiro's story unfolds, becoming increasingly dark and complex. He returns to his only friend, Naoyuki Ando. His visit is a strange mixture of concern and bone-chilling cold. Seeing Ando cut his finger on paper, Hiro demonstrates his healing ability for the first time, mending the tiny wound. Ando, already terrified, is even more shaken by this. In response, Hiro attempts a joke. However, Inuyashiki doesn't allow despair to consume him. His path is one of active compassion. Despite his advanced age, he rushes to the aid of anyone in need. He saves a man being attacked by street criminals, and his fight with them is a mixture of helpless, clumsy flailing and incredible, all-crushing mechanical force. He tries again and again to fly, but, unable to control his body, he fails again and again, perhaps looking like a madman. But when his sensors detect the screams of his father and grandmother from the burning house, he makes a last, desperate attempt, and, humming a song from Astro Boy, finally rises into the sky and makes it just in time, carrying people out of the fire, becoming a guardian angel for them that no one expected. He also discovers his healing ability, which he immediately begins to use at the hospital, restoring health to strangers and experiencing a nearly forgotten feeling, the feeling that he's finally doing something truly important. He convinces his friend to return to school, and Ando, who is systematically beaten and humiliated by his classmates, reluctantly agrees. But his return turns into a disaster. The bullies, led by a ringleader named Tetchan, attack him again. Hiro intervenes, grabbing Tetchan's arm and squeezing it so hard that the bones crack and break. Afterward, taking his friend to the roof, Hiro demonstrates the full terrifying scope of his abilities. He explains that he can not only kill with a single finger, but also hack into any military system, launch missiles and control satellites. He admits to killing that random family and remarks with a smile, "If I wanted to, I could launch an American nuclear missile at China right now or steal as much money as I wanted from an ATM using a fake code." For Ando, this is the last straw. The horror and disgust that had been growing within him with each passing hour bursts to the surface. In a trembling but determined voice, he tells Hiro, "You're not the Hiro I knew anymore. You've turned into a monster. I never want to see you again. Go away." This break is a moment of monstrous tension. It seems that Hiro, who killed people for mere irritation, will kill him without a second's hesitation. But instead, Hiro only stares at his former friend for a long moment, his face unreadable. A strange, inappropriate concern flickers in his eyes. "Just don't skip school anymore, okay?" He takes to the city streets, once again. This time, he's irritated by the barking of the dog guarding the house. He shoots the dog, and then, hearing his owner run out with a crying child in her arms, followed by the rest of the household, he enters their home. His merciless, quiet whisper, "Bang bang," is the only musical accompaniment to the scene, after which the house descends into deathly silence. He killed them all simply because they were in his way. The event opens with a chilling scene. Yakuza boss Samejima wakes up in bed, the lifeless body of a girl who died of an overdose lying next to him. There's no pity, just a curt order to remove the body. Immediately afterward, he drags his errant subordinate to the sauna and brutally humiliates him. Samejima is a pure predator, for whom people are expendable. Then we are treated to a completely different, warmer story. We meet Fumino, a kind and cheerful girl from the cafe. Her boyfriend, Satoru, is an ordinary office worker. Together, they dream of marriage, eat bento, and make modest plans. Their relationship is filled with genuine tenderness and light. Everything collapses one evening. Samejima spots Fumino through the cafe window. She is grabbed, drugged, and taken to the lair. There he looms over her, declaring, "I'll make you mine." But Fumino doesn't give in. In a desperate fit, she headbutts him in the face, grabs a katana leaning against the wall, and slashes his arm. While Samejima bleeds, she, naked and dazed, runs to Satoru. Satoru welcomes her, trembling and crying, trying to shelter her, to protect her. But the cozy apartment is no fortress. The door flies off its hinges, and Samejima bursts in, his hand bandaged, filled with rage. He grabs Satoru by the throat with one hand, choking him until he begins to lose consciousness. Satoru begs him not to touch Fumino, promising money, credits, anything. It's no use. At that moment, Inuyashiki appears in the doorway. Clumsily, like an old man, he lunges at the massive Yakuza. His movements are awkward, as if he doesn't know how to fight at all, but the strength of his mechanical body is immense. He sends his henchmen flying. Then Samejima draws his pistol and empties the entire clip into his head. Inuyashiki falls. Samejima takes Fumino and leaves. When Inuyashiki comes to, he sees that Satoru is barely breathing. His healing abilities aren't working on others. And then this old man, this clumsy cyborg, does the only thing he can. He administers CPR and heart massage over and over again, until Satoru finally takes a shuddering breath. Now it's time for retribution. He tracks down Samejima via Satoru's phone. He's at a meeting of Yakuza bosses. Inuyashiki walks into the room full of mobsters and breaks Samejima's jaw with one blow. The guards open fire, the bullets only spark off his body. Then he uses a new ability for the first time. Streams of particles erupt from his back, burning out the eyes and breaking the spines of everyone present. The room fills with the screams of the blinded and paralyzed cripples. Rising above the fallen Samejima, Inuyashiki pronounces his sentence, "Live a long life in the hell you created." He then finds Fumino, cleanses her system of the drugs, and carries her through the sky to Satoru. The episode ends with their reunion, and Inuyashiki himself is forever no longer just a savior. He is now a merciless judge, defining for himself the limits of what is acceptable. Episode 5 begins with increasingly frequent news reports of brutal attacks on residential buildings. For the average person, this is simply a crime report, but for Naoyuki Ando, it's a source of constant torment. He alone knows that his best friend, Hiro Shishigami, is behind these massacres, and he's torn between the remnants of his affection and the horror of what he's become. Meanwhile, other reports appear in the press. In various hospitals, hopeless patients are suddenly and miraculously cured. The doctors are baffled, but Ando, aware of Hiro's abilities, makes a precise guess. If his friend uses his power to kill, then the healings are the work of someone completely different. There's another being in the city with the same power, but using it for good. Ando decides to find this mysterious savior. His plan is simple. He fakes a cry for help on a deserted street. The calculation proves correct. His heightened hearing picks up the call, and Ichiro Inuyashiki immediately arrives. Upon seeing each other, both freeze. Ando is shocked. The savior turns out to be no Superman, but an ordinary, even slightly awkward, elderly man. But he quickly puts the facts together, and realizes that this old man is the one who brings healing to people. Their meeting is filled with touching tension. Ando, whose soul is wounded by Hiro's betrayal, looks at the humble Inuyashiki with genuine admiration. Where Hiro sows death, this man saves lives. In a fit of emotion, Ando calls him a true hero, and the embarrassed Inuyashiki, not yet accustomed to such a role, sincerely blushes. Unable to bear the burden of this terrible secret any longer, Ando begs him to stop Hiro before he causes even more harm. Thus begins their fragile alliance. Meanwhile, the plot shifts to Hiro himself. Returning from his father's house, he learns devastating news. His mother, Yuko, the only person he still feels affection for, is terminally ill. She has terminal cancer and only months to live. At first, Hiro is overcome with despair. But quickly pulling himself together, he uses his cybernetic abilities and, with surgical precision, burns the cancer out of her body. His mother is saved. Inspired by this, he makes a firm decision. He will no longer kill. He showers his mother with expensive gifts, steals money from her bank accounts, and buys a luxurious penthouse. He sincerely enjoys the peace and even dreams of blood flowing from his finger, a sign that he may still be human. But waking returns him to the cold reality of a mechanical body. His plans for reform are destined to fail. Ando, having finally given up hope of his former friend's return, takes the most difficult step of his life. He goes to the police and reports Hiro as a serial killer. The episode's ending is tinged with bitter irony. Hiro, having decided for the first time to renounce violence, hears a deafening knock on the door. A SWAT team bursts in to arrest him. He's cornered. He manages to escape, but now he's a fugitive, shown on every TV channel. His photo is plastered on the news, labeled a ruthless killer, and he can no longer return to his mother or his former life. Hiro wanders aimlessly through the city until he's found by Cheyenne Watanabe, the same girl who previously confessed her feelings for him. She doesn't believe the news, or simply doesn't want to believe it. Cheyenne takes him to her apartment, where she lives with her grandmother, and offers him shelter. This episode provides a brief respite. The three of them have dinner, and for the first time in a long time, Hiro seems almost like a normal teenager. But this illusion of safety doesn't last long. While Hiro hides with Cheyenne, Naoyuki Ando continues to help Inuyashiki. He teaches the old man how to understand his new abilities. They discover that Inuyashiki has a USB port in his fingernail, can embed a telephone receiver directly into his body, and is capable of flying to unimaginable heights. At one point, Inuyashiki soars so high that he collides with an astronaut in outer space. These scenes, full of quiet wonder, show how Inuyashiki gradually masters his mechanical nature. But for Hiro, the world collapses completely. Sitting in front of the television, he sees a news report in which his mother, Yuko, tearfully apologizes to the entire country for her son's crimes. She says she didn't know about his atrocities and begs for forgiveness. Hiro watches the screen, tears streaming down his face. He can still feel pain when it comes to the person he holds most dear. And then comes the news that shatters everything. Yuko Shishigami commits suicide, unable to bear the shame. For Hiro, this is the final blow. His mother was the only person for whom he still managed to stay on the edge. Now that anchor is gone. The first to be unleashed by his rage are reporters. A crowd of journalists besieges his father's house, demanding comment on his ex-wife and murderous son. Hiro appears before them and unleashes a bloody massacre. He shoots each one, leaving no one alive. Only his father is spared. Hiro watches him silently and leaves. But his revenge doesn't end there. Hiro dives online and begins reading forum comments where anonymous users mock his mother's death, calling it deserved, and ridiculing the tragedy. Hiro discovers a new, terrifying use for his abilities. He can locate people through their phones and computers, infiltrate their homes through their screens, and kill them remotely. One by one, he hunts down everyone who dared to write vile things about his mother and mercilessly deals with them. The scale of this massacre transforms Hiro from a common serial killer into a threat of an entirely different order. Hiro, having lost his last ties to humanity, will stop at nothing. And Inuyashiki, who is just beginning to master his powers, has no idea what kind of monster he'll face. After a bloody massacre of internet trolls, a devastated Hiro Shishigami returns to the only place he has left, the home of his classmate, Cheyenne Watanabe. Cheyenne is a quiet and kind girl who had confessed her feelings to Hiro earlier. She still wants to believe in his innocence, despite all the horrific news. Hiro decides he can no longer lie to the only person who has ever treated him with warmth. He tells her everything, about the collision in the park, about turning into a machine, about the murders. He tries to explain how he feels. A memory flashes back to him. He was standing in a crowded underground station, waiting for a train, when a middle-aged man suddenly stepped right in front of an approaching train. Hiro saw the man simply erased, and in that moment, he felt not horror or disgust, but a strange, icy pleasure. It was then that he realized that taking another's life was the only thing that made his mechanical heart beat faster. Shaun refuses to believe it, unable to accept that the man she's in love with could be a heartless machine. To prove his point, Hiro takes her in his arms and soars into the sky, incontrovertible proof of his inhuman nature. But even after seeing this, even after realizing what he truly is, Shaun doesn't recoil in horror. Instead, she begs him to stay with her and her grandmother. This disconcerts Hiro. His plan to destroy the world that rejected him and his mother momentarily falters. For the first time, he chooses creation over destruction. He stays with Shaun and radically changes his life, beginning to save people on the brink of death, healing them one by one. 2 months fly by. Hiro lives with Shaun and her grandmother, and they lead an almost idyllic existence, as happy as a fugitive killer can be. But the past has long arms. The police haven't been idle all this time. They've been methodically tracking Hiro, and they've finally managed to track him down. A loud, insistent knock sounds. The police have come for him. His brief respite is over, and now he must face the consequences of his actions. Soldiers in full uniform, machine guns at the ready, fill the hallway. Hiro greets them standing. Shots ring out, bullets strike his body, but he doesn't fall. His return fire is methodical and terrifying. He picks off the police officers one by one as they panic and try to regroup. In the chaos of the shootout, a stray bullet pierces the wall and hits Cheyenne's grandmother, who was hiding in the back room. She dies almost instantly. Cheyenne, bending over her body, looks up at Hiro with a devastated expression and quietly asks him to leave. Hiro, realizing his powers can't resurrect the dead, goes out onto the porch, finishes off the remaining police officers, and soars into the sky. This scene lasts only a few minutes, but it severs Hiro's last connection to normal life. After this screen time, the story shifts to Inuyashiki. The scene in his house begins with him watching the news, reporting on the massacre at the Shaun house. His anger darkens, realizing that Hiro has completely overstepped his bounds. At that moment, his daughter, Mari, enters the room. She has been observing her father for several days, his strange disappearances at night, the fact that he has become younger and more confident, and most importantly, the rumors of miraculous healings happening in the city. Mari begins to speak, her voice trembling. She admits that she used to be ashamed of her father, considering him a failure, but now everything has changed. She saw the people he saved cry with happiness. She knows it's him. Inuyashiki tries to object, but Mari comes closer, tears in her eyes. But the idyll doesn't last long. Immediately after this episode, the focus shifts to Hiro. He arrives at the police station, the very one that coordinated the assault. He doesn't sneak or hide. Hiro simply walks through the main entrance, and the first thing he sees is a crowded duty room. The police, recognizing him as a wanted criminal, reach for their guns. But Hiro is no longer human. He raises his arms and opens fire. Bullets pierce desks, monitors, and bodies. He moves through the corridors, leaving a trail of blood in his wake. No one can stop him, point-blank shots don't harm him, and his own marksmanship is unerring. Within minutes, the entire station turns into a mass grave. Hiro stands amid dozens of bodies, his face impassive. He's no longer hiding. Now he declares war on the entire world, and this massacre is just the first loud declaration. Inuyashiki, finally accepted by his daughter and finding a new purpose in helping people, and Hiro, who has finally embarked on a path of merciless destruction. The gulf between them has become absolute, and a clash is now inevitable. The whole family is gathered in front of the television. Breaking news about the recent mass shootings is playing on every channel. Tension hangs in the air. Ichiro sits silently, staring at the screen, but the most important thing is happening not to him, but to his daughter, Mari. She's looking not at the television, but at her father. Meanwhile, the city is frozen in shock. Hiro Shishigami does something no one has ever done before. He hacks every television network, every screen, from the huge billboards on skyscrapers to the small monitors in store windows, and goes live. His face appears simultaneously on hundreds of thousands of screens across the country. He doesn't hide, doesn't whisper threats. He speaks calmly and directly, as if he were broadcasting a regular live stream. And then he begins to kill. Hiro sits on the roof of a building, physically touching no one. He uses his abilities in a way he never has before. Remotely, through the internet. He finds people by their phones, by their digital traces, and shoots them one by one directly through the screens. Viewers, horrified by his face, become his victims. Shots ring out in different parts of the city simultaneously. No one understands where the death is coming from. Bodies fall in offices, apartments, and on the streets. Panic reaches unprecedented levels. The police and intelligence agencies are paralyzed. They don't know where the criminal is or how to stop him. Inuyashiki sees this broadcast. He hears every shot with his heightened hearing. He takes off, trying to track Hiro, but he's acting too quickly, too chaotically. Inuyashiki rushes around the city, but he's too late. When the last shot fades and the screens go dark, Hiro leaves a message. In the same matter-of-fact tone, he declares, "What happened today is just a warm-up. Tomorrow there will be many more victims. Tomorrow he will unleash a catastrophe the likes of which the city has never seen." The next morning dawns. The situation in Inuyashiki's house is tense. Ichiro's wife, who had been calm just yesterday, now looks both frightened and determined. She categorically refuses to let the children leave the house. She senses the threat is real, that Hiro's promise is not empty words. But the children can't just sit there. Mari needs to go to school, and despite their mother's pleas, they leave. Hiro wakes up on the roof of the very building where he spent the night. He stretches, as if after a normal sleep, and looks down at the waking metropolis. His face remains blank. He activates his abilities, and at that very moment, the unthinkable happens. A passenger plane, coming in for a landing, suddenly loses control. Its course changes sharply, and the enormous machine, full of people, begins to plummet straight into residential areas. Hiro doesn't just shoot down the plane, he directs it into the very center of the city. The airliner crashes into the ground among skyscrapers. Explosion, flames, smoke. The city instantly turns into an inferno. Following the first plane, Hiro descends upon the city with others. Passenger planes, one after another, lose control and plunge downward, crashing into skyscrapers and residential areas. The city is engulfed in fire, smoke, and screams. At that moment, Inuyashiki's daughter, Mari, finds herself in a shopping mall, which becomes one of the targets. A plane flies directly into the building. A fire breaks out, the floors collapse, and Mari is trapped on one of the upper floors, cut off from the exit and surrounded by acrid smoke. Inuyashiki, seeing all this from the ground, rushes to the rescue. He attempts to stop one of the falling airliners in mid-air, and succeeds. Using all his mechanical power, he changes the trajectory of the descending plane and lands it carefully on a deserted beach. This incredible rescue does not go unnoticed. Hiro, who had been observing the chaos from the roof, notices the old man. He descends toward him, anticipating the long-awaited battle. At that moment, Inuyashiki's phone rings. Mari is on the line, her voice weak and broken, choking on the smoke from the burning mall, her strength almost gone. Inuyashiki hears her plea and turns to Hiro, who is already prepared for battle. There's no time to waste. Two perfect war machines clash in an epic, drawn-out battle. The thunder of blows shakes the ruins, and flashes of energy blasts illuminate the night. This is not a quick firefight, but a long, grueling duel of equals. Inuyashiki understands that every second of hesitation is a loss of his daughter's life, and he gathers all his strength for the decisive blow. At the critical moment, he delivers his signature move, a powerful burst of energy that literally tears apart Hiro's body. The enemy falls dead. Inuyashiki, wasting no time, races full speed to the shopping mall. He rushes into the burning building and finds Mari, but it's too late, she's unconscious and not breathing. He tries to restart her heart, using all his powers, but her body doesn't respond. Desperately, he continues to struggle, holding her close, and suddenly, against all odds, Mari comes to. She's alive. Inuyashiki carries his rescued daughter out of the ruins, and together they emerge onto the remaining street. He no longer hides or conceals his identity. He begins helping the victims in full view of others, healing the wounded, pulling survivors from the rubble. His secret is revealed, but now it doesn't frighten her, but rather inspires hope. He tells Mari he must help many more, and she understands. Her father is a true hero. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, two girls find Hiro's mangled remains. The mechanical body barely shows signs of life, but is still trying to regenerate. One of the girls hands it a bottle of water. He gathers his family, his wife, his daughter Mari, and his son, in their living room. He no longer wants to hide or lie. In a trembling but determined voice, he tells them everything. About that night in the park, about his encounter with the unidentified object, and how he is no longer fully human, but a mechanical being in a human shell. For a few seconds, the room is silent. "You're still my husband," his wife whispers. "You're our father," Mari adds. Inuyashiki cries for the first time in a long time. He is accepted. He is loved. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Hiro comes to. His body has recovered, but something within him has changed. He no longer seems consumed by rage. He gets up and goes to the only person who can still listen to him, his former friend, Naoyuki Ando. Hiro shows up at his house, and Ando, frightened but not running, calls Inuyashiki. He tells him that Hiro is here, at his place. Inuyashiki takes off and runs to Ando's house, but when he arrives, Hiro is gone. He flew away without harming Ando. Inuyashiki remains standing on the threshold, realizing Hiro is up to something, but what exactly remains unclear. The denouement comes suddenly. Emergency broadcasts begin on all television channels. A giant asteroid is approaching Earth. Scientists and military personnel are in a panic. No weapon of humankind can destroy it. Its trajectory is inexorable. If the asteroid hits, all life will perish. Terror reigns in Inuyashiki's house, as throughout the world. But Ichiro watches the screen and realizes, he has a power no one else has. He's the only one who can try. At night, when the family is asleep, Inuyashiki quietly leaves the house. He doesn't want to scare them, doesn't want to say goodbye. He simply rises into the sky and flies into outer space, toward the asteroid. A huge rock mass bears down on the planet, and Inuyashiki, a tiny figure against it, launches a desperate attack. He uses everything: missiles, lasers, energy blasts. Pieces of the asteroid break off, but its core remains intact. Inuyashiki pushes himself to the limit, but he realizes, his strength is insufficient. He won't make it. The Earth is doomed. And then Hiro appears beside him. He hasn't come for battle. His face, usually blank or distorted with anger, now expresses something different: weariness, sadness, and a strange calm. Hiro tells Inuyashiki he wants to make amends for his sins. He knows he's done too much evil and understands he can't live with it. But before he dies, he can do one good deed. He tells the old man, "I will self-destruct along with the asteroid." Inuyashiki tries to object, but Hiro won't listen. He activates the self-destruct mechanism, crashes into the asteroid, and explodes. A flash illuminates space. The asteroid cracks, sending giant fragments flying off, but the core remains intact. Hiro sacrificed himself, but it wasn't enough. The asteroid is still hurtling toward Earth, and the threat is not over. Inuyashiki watches the receding debris and the approaching deadly boulder. He understands. Now it's his turn. He remembers his wife, Mari, his son, their embraces and words of love. He knows they will grieve, but he also knows they will understand. He closes his eyes, bids them farewell mentally, and activates his self-destruct mechanism. A second explosion, even more powerful, shatters the asteroid. Inuyashiki disappears in a blinding flash, and with him, the threat disappears. The final scenes show life after the disaster. Time has passed. Mari, Inuyashiki's daughter, has grown older. She has written a manga, a story about her father, a quiet hero who saved the world at the cost of his own life.